Let's get started. Welcome to the bottom of the SHARrel. I'm your host, Manda Sanj. Yes, that is how you say it. And we'll be attempting to beat as much of the Simpsons Hit and Run using only one specific vehicle. And by we, I mean I. And attempting is also a key word. I'm not very good at this game. We started last time using the family sedan as I figured it was a suitable starting vehicle, and the magic wheel has decided that this time we're using the donut truck. Now here's the thing I should mention. In hindsight, I've scrapped the magic wheel. I didn't realise the donut truck would be this problematic of a vehicle, and it was, spoiler alert, quite an issue to use. And at this moment, currently of me recording this voiceover, I've actually recorded 5 episodes of this series. I'll tell you the vehicles. They were in this order: the sedan, family sedan, sorry, donut truck. Then I have to think. I think it was then the taxi in level 2, the honor roller, and then the El Carro Loco. And as I was doing it, especially with the taxi and the honor roller, I got to a point where I realized that there's just going to be a lot of very mediocre vehicles that can kind of get through pretty much every mission and pretty easily get through most of the races, bar for what I consider to be the big 3 of the hardest races for this challenge, which are going to be Checkpoint Race 3, Checkpoint Race 5, and Circuit Race 6. So I've decided to scrap the thing, not doing all 85, 80 whatever vehicles in the game, but now shortening down to about 20, where I just use what I consider to be some of the more interesting vehicles and generally some of the worst vehicles in the game. Basically just cutting out a bunch of mediocre rubbish. If, for example, there is a specific vehicle you want to see me beat the game as, for example, if someone says, can you beat the game, or can you do a video where you beat the game with Skinner's sedan from level 3, then I'll say, yes, absolutely, I'll give it a go. But unless I get comments like that, I probably won't be using a lot of the vehicles. Now that's been said, there's also something else I forgot to mention last time, and that was my whole award system. The mission medallion, the bonus rosette, and the speed demon trophy. Now I've changed a few things, with the medallion especially. The medallion is no longer gold, silver, or bronze, depending on how many missions are beaten with the vehicle. You will just get the mission medallion for completing all of the missions in the game. I will instead be awarding a letter grade, a letter rank, A, B, C, D, etc. As a way of saying how good I think the vehicle generally was for beating all of the missions. And I'll say it right here, I think the family sedan was probably, I'm actually not too sure to be honest. I'm in between C tier and B tier for the family sedan. So let's just say it's between C plus and B minus. I didn't really have any issues with the family sedan. Had none at all. I'm sure there's vehicles which also would be just solid B. They just get through things like just completely fine. Nothing excellent, but completely fine. So the mission medallion has now changed. The bonus rosette will still be awarded for completing all 7 bonus missions, and the speed demon trophy is still gold, silver, bronze, depending on how many races you manage to complete. So speed demon's the same, bonus rosette is the same. Mission medallion is now different, because what it was supposed to be was gold for all missions, and then silver for like almost all, and then bronze was like a bit less than most. I just figured it was kind of redundant. I just assumed that pretty much every vehicle can just beat all the missions without really much of a problem, so there's not really much point of doing gold, silver, bronze, because I imagine what it'll just become is all the vehicles get gold medallion and then the bonus rosette. It'll only come down to the speed demon trophies. Long rambling intro aside, I do apologize for that. It's time to go on with the donut truck itself. It's a level 3 vehicle, and it can be bought from the resident carman of the game, Gil, for 250 coins. Stat wise, the donut truck has 1 out of 10 speed, 3 out of 10 acceleration, 6 out of 10 toughness, and 6 out of 10 handling. Now, comparing these stats to the stats of the family sedan, you'll notice that this is slightly worse. The family sedan, for reference, was 2 speed, 3 acceleration, 5 toughness, and 8 handling. So Donut Truck in comparison has same acceleration, slightly better toughness, a bit worse handling, and lower top speed. So in general, I'd say this is just a worse vehicle. It's also unique. I think it's one of the only vehicles in the actual in the entire game, one of the only vehicles in the entire game that has 6 out of 10 toughness. It's a very uncommon amount of toughness to have for a vehicle. Generally, kind of, I think some of like the secret vehicles, the unusable vehicles have 6 out of 10 toughness. It's very, very bizarre. Usually these slower vehicles will have like at least 7 or even 8 out of 10 toughness. So Donut Truck is a pretty rough vehicle. Now let's get straight into the missions, because we've wasted too much time already. I do apologise. This might be a fair bit longer than last time. I'm still rambling. I do apologise again. I'm also going to mention some more things before we get into the actual challenge proper. I'm going to now be completely removing 3 of the missions from the lineup. 1-0, which is a tutorial mission, also known as Cola Caper. 1-4, Blind Big Brother. And 4-6, which I believe is called Cola Wars. The reason for these is thus. The tutorial mission cannot be failed. So everything can be that. 1-4 is designed to be done entirely on foot. And 4-6, whilst there's a little tiny bit of the mission you could probably do with a vehicle, again, it's mostly intended to be done entirely on foot. So from now on, I'm just going to be completely skipping these 3 missions. Let's start with the actual first mission, 1-1. And this is where I started to realize just how problematic Donut Truck actually is. I didn't realize this going in. I thought this would just be like, maybe a bit of a mediocre vehicle, maybe below average at worst. But no, it's some sources say it's the 2nd worst purchasable vehicle in the game, which is not really a good title to have. It's better than being the worst purchasable vehicle, but it's still not fantastic. Donut Truck itself is very slippy. The physics on this thing are not really fantastic. Mixing the dodgy handling with the slow speed of the Donut Truck, already in 1-1 I was starting to realize just kind of how problematic this was probably going to be. Good thing is level 1 is all pretty easy stuff. 1-2 is our favourite collectathon mission. Still very easy. Level 1 gives you a lot of time to play with these missions. Aside from, I'd say, 1B and the races, of course, they're obviously the toughest things in level 1. But everything level 1 really should be pretty doable. 1-2, of course, very doable. 1-3, a destruction mission. Now you'd think, well, the fan was down to 5 out of 10 toughness, and it was completely fine. 6 out of 10 toughness, you think it's also be completely fine. Well, you'd think, but it seemed to be that the slippiness of Donut Truck was making it rather tough to get a clean hit on Smithers. This will become more of an issue later on, and I'll explain my reasons for why I was struggling so much with these missions when we get to the next destruction missions, which next one will be 2-7 sellouts. So yeah, I knew from this point on that these types of missions would be quite troublesome. 1-5 is a completely free mission. So much rubber banding is involved in this mission that I genuinely think the only way you could possibly lose this mission is if you just don't even touch the controller. Like, it's ridiculous rubber banding. 1-6. I was having some pretty big trouble getting the C-Bone to actually drop anything from the hits. Thankfully, there's a lot of time to play with. There's 3 minutes, in fact, of time to play with. 3 minutes to get 10 drops isn't really very bad, but it's the slippiness that was just making it really hard for me to get clean hits, and I'm not sure why, but also the speed is involved as well, and I believe, I could be wrong, but when it comes to getting drops, it's a case of the speed of the collision, but also sometimes where you collide with the vehicle. Like, generally for these hit and collect missions, I seem to have the best luck if I hit the vehicles from the side, because it's got the biggest surface area. I assume that's just the best place to hit them. Also hitting them from the front, generally hitting them from the back or like the corners of the back is quite troublesome. Unfortunately, Donut Truck likes to slide around everywhere, and getting these nice hits isn't very easy, especially when you're also not a particularly fast vehicle. It's a little bit of a problem. And also not a vehicle with you're a vehicle with not a lot of weight behind you. Weight is also important. It's kind of like a secret stat in these vehicles. Some are just weightier than others. Many vehicles in the game have 10 out of 10 toughness, but out of those juggernaut vehicles, as I call them, the vehicles with 10 out of 10 armor or toughness, whatever you want to call it, some juggernaut vehicles are just weightier than others. For example, I think the weightiest vehicle of these juggernauts, I could be wrong, I could be very wrong, so correct me if I am, but I believe it's the fire truck is the weightiest vehicle in the game that you can use. It's either that or it's the Nanoputs minivan, which I know sounds crazy, but I'll explain that when we finally get to covering that vehicle in this series. But yeah, Donut Truck not really having the speed, not really having the weight behind it, makes this pretty problematic. That was a lot of talking. 1-7. I tried going for the trick, but unfortunately, the Donut Truck is just too tall. It seems to do this trick, your car has to be a certain height, and generally that height limit is quite low. Donut Truck is one of the tallest vehicles in the game, if not potentially the tallest vehicle in the game, which is something, but it also means it has absolutely no chance of going through. And unlike what you can do normally in vanilla, where you just sort of park your car in the middle of the entrance of the power plant, start the mission, and then when you start, you go run to the where the magic door is. You can get in the car and then just reverse through and choose the mission. You can't do that in this mod, because upon starting the mission, you will immediately start in the vehicle of your choice, or the forced vehicle, sorry, and the previous vehicle that you used before starting the mission has completely despawned. So that trick is out the window. Still, doing this race legitimately is very easy. Smithers takes barely any of the shortcuts, and there's so many shortcuts to take in level 1 that it's not really much of an issue. Level 2, 2-1. Even with the ludicrous aggression and speed of Skinner, the car wash trick I just think is simply unbeatable. As soon as you get through that, you've just won the mission. Easy peasy. 2-2 is a very simple collectathon. The Wiggum escape section was a very clean escape and very easy. Totally fine mission. 2-3 though is a tough race. Especially in cars like this. I think even in general this is a pretty tricky mission. I got very lucky with this and managed to beat it on my 3rd try, which is not bad. 2-4 is in a way similar to 1-5. The first part of the mission, the really long follow section, has a lot of rubber banding to it. Not as much as the rubber banding with 1-4, or 1-5, sorry. I could be wrong, because the rubber banding amount feels very similar between the two missions. Basically, it's a lot of rubber banding, so even if you're really slow, it's really unlikely that you'll lose this part. For the race section with Snake, I used the cheeky car reset trick that gave me a pretty big lead, a substantial lead with the race, and I was able to win without really much problem. If you want me to explain how car resetting works, it's about resetting within a boundary that overlaps another boundary and then just puts you somewhere else. It's something to do like that. It's boundaries, breaking boundaries, and finding new secrets and discoveries in our favorite video games. It's magic, and I want to keep it that way. 2-5. Picking up the roadkill is easy. The escape section, whilst not being as clean as it was with the Family Stand, was just totally fine. It's still an easy mission. 2-6 is an easy mission. 4 minutes to collect 30 monkeys. 30 monkeys running around Springfield, fantastic, amazing mission, best music ever, but very easy and rather boring mission. It's just a really long, it's just a long mission that I don't really enjoy playing. I wanted to skip this mission, to be honest, with this challenge series, but I'm not going to, because it does rely quite heavily on the usage of the vehicle and not the on foot. There's a very brief section at the start of the mission where you kind of have to be on foot, but aside from that, it's all vehicle based. So I've got to do this one. I'll get over it. 2-7. Getting clean hits on the cell cars was pretty tough because of the horrendous control, the really lacking grip of Donut Truck. But I managed to get through this without too much trouble, being my first try. Now, as much as I'm saying the destruction missions are going to be tough, I can assure you these are nowhere near the hardest missions I've faced whilst doing this run. There's some pretty hard ones coming up later. Level 3. But not yet though. 3-1 is a very easy race, much easier a race than it is in 2-3 against the Nerd car. The problem I found though, Donut Truck really just cannot make the ramp jump. It's just too slow of a vehicle. And this is a problem. Not quite yet is it a problem, but definitely when it comes to level 6, the fact that this thing just really can't make the ramp jump is going to probably most likely definitely cause some issues in the future. 3-2 is a very easy mission. There's so many shortcuts to take in level 3 that I really truly doubt that any vehicle could really struggle with this mission. 3-3. This was just horrendous. This was a horrendous mission for me. I just can't do it. I just really could not do it. 15 tries it took. Be on my 15th try. Most of those tries were me trying to go for the speedrun trick. On the 15th try, I got the speedrun trick. It took a while, but I got it. Trying to actually just bump into him without doing the trick though, with the slippiness, the lack of speed, and I find Cletus to be the hardest bump and collect opponent in the game. There's not many bump and collect missions. I think there's 5. I think I said last time there was 4. I was wrong. There's 5, maybe 6. I thought there's 6. It keeps going up. There's 1-6. There's this mission, 3-3. There's, oh my goodness, 4-1, 5-3, and then 6-4. That's probably really hard to listen to. Just me not remembering. But yeah, I think there's only 5 in the game. And I find 3-3 to be the hardest one. I just think Cletus just... I don't know why I really struggle with getting the hits on him. Especially if you're a slow car like Donut Truck. Especially if you're a car like Donut Truck, which just can't really stay in a straight line for too long. Because it likes to kind of just swerve around and bounce about and just flip over and just be a general nuisance. Horrendous. 3-4 beats on my second try. What is 3-4? Oh, it's the destruction mission. I completely forgot. Yeah. Just more having issues with just how this thing controls. Not getting clean hits. The vehicle Donut Truck it's too slow to really like do big crashes into vehicles. But that's not the problem with destruction missions with Donut Truck. The problem is that not only am I too slow to really push them around and maneuver them about, but I'm also too lightweight of a vehicle to really do anything to them. There's not enough damage I can do. I'm too slow, and I'm too lightweight of a car to do big damage, to push them around. And even with the other slow vehicles, they have massive weight, massive mass, and a lot more armor to them. It's just weird that Donut Truck doesn't really have anything going for it. Like, its best stats are 6 out of 10. Its best stats are above average. And its lowest stat is a 1 out of 10. It's an abysmal vehicle. 3-5 I knew would be a tough mission. Snake just booked it to the end without any hesitation. I did okay here. I beat on my 4th try. That's not bad. It could have been much, much worse. Just glad I got this mission done without too much trouble. 3-6. I beat on my 3rd try with only 3 seconds to spare. But I was just failing because I just was playing really badly. I was trying to autopilot the mission. But the problem is, normally when I autopilot the mission, it's when I'm playing the game normally, which is very rare at this point. And I'd be using the Malibu Stacy car, which is a much better, faster, nicer, better handling, just a much better vehicle. Donut Truck is not a better vehicle. It's not a good vehicle by any means, and you really have to pay attention to what you're doing, and I just wasn't. It's a pretty tricky mission anyway. It's not the nicest of time limits, even in general in vanilla. So I had to be very careful with this one. 3-7, beat on my third try. Sadly, I was just for some reason never able to actually get the fast trick of trapping the limo down by the beach, which is very annoying. Still, managed to catch up to it and try it without too much trouble. But I'm really, even at this point, I was so genuinely surprised by how troublesome of a car this actually was. Again, as I said, I went into this thinking, oh, this will be like a mediocre or like below average vehicle at worst. But to find out that it's like as bad as it is, I was really shocked. Maybe that's why I was playing so badly. Maybe if I went into the challenge knowing firsthand, or not firsthand, but knowing with prior knowledge that this was like a really bad car and not just kind of a bit mediocre, then maybe I would have tried harder. But I think it was the fact that for most of this recording session, I really didn't think that this car was that bad. I just assumed it was just, oh, I'm just terrible at the game now. I wouldn't mind, but with the family sedan, I was kind of like cruising through the game. It was, aside from the races, I wasn't really having too much trouble with the missions. And then I played Donut Truck, and I'm like, wow, I'm terrible. Oh my god. Anyway, level 4. 4-1 is Donut Truck versus Donut Truck. Just be fast at the start with Mr. Wiggum. Don't choke on the second half of Donut Truck. Donut Truck spins out a lot from collisions, both yours and the opponent, and you can use that to your advantage to get more hits and stuff. I almost failed at the end, somehow. Only reaching Wiggum with like literally 1 second to spare. It was really close. I don't know why I was being so slow. Yeah, terrible. 4-2 wasn't an issue. Completely free, totally free mission. It's not really one with rubber banding either. I just don't find this mission that tough. I don't find a lot of level 4 that tough, especially not in these challenges. In these challenges, the levels to look out for mission-wise, I would say are level 3, level 5, and level 6. Level 4 is a nice easy break between them. 4-3. Even with the tricky placement of the ketchup packets, this mission was just totally fine. The escape section at the end is very easy, even though the donut truck can't jump over the tyre fire. Really tripped over my words there. So it took a while for me to lose the chaser down, but still it wasn't too bad of a mission. 4-4, short race. Could have been very tricky because Wiggum is a speedy boy, but he loves to get stuck after going through the crusty glass, and I don't really think that any vehicle would really struggle with this mission. 4-5 could have also been a tricky mission, but no, it's just a really long, really boring, like follow and collect mission. It's pretty rough. The escape section at the end is also just very easy. Just take the big shortcut, and that's just the whole mission done. I don't know why, as a kid, in the past, I always thought of 4-5 as being one of the toughest missions in the game, and then now it's like, it's not hard at all. It's just really long and really boring. 4-7 was actually a first try, unlike how it was with the family sedan. The color trucks, they're just bulky, they're stupid. You can push them around fairly easily, surprisingly, and like to get stuck near some pretty dangerous walls. It wasn't like the family sedan, where it was a very close win. This was just totally fine. Totally fine. With level 5, when looking and putting all this video together, level 5 alone took me 5 hours. 5 hours. Oh god, imagine if it took 5 hours. It took me an hour to complete. So, joy. 5-1 took me 3 tries. The cola truck is remarkably quick, and I'm remarkably slow. But with good driving, it is possible to beat this mission without too much of an issue. 5-2 though is an easy first try. It's just 2 very easy escape sections back to back. It's a very short mission. Yeah, not a problem. 5-3 is also an easy first try. The minivan, non-upwards minivan, whatever you want to call it. This brown car in SHARrel is just, it drops nappies so quick. Like the lightest touch at times just drops a nappy. Pretty easy mission. 5-4 though, even knowing about the secret trick of just not having to follow Wiggum all the way, I still took me 3 tries to beat. And it wasn't even the issue I was having was, you know, not beating the mission at the very end. It was just keeping up to Wiggum on the highway. I mentioned this before with the highway, that the family sedan, you know, before didn't have the acceleration or the speed to really match the faster cars on the highway, and Donut Truck has a much worse time with that, a way worse time with that. I had to play super well, stay as far ahead of him as I possibly could for as long as I could, because eventually he'd overtake me. And the worst thing is if he overtook me and also spun me out as he hit me from the back, because that would just be like a guaranteed loss. I simply don't have the acceleration or the speed to deal with him when he's booking it across the highway. Very annoying. 5-5 was a second try, but it wasn't the fault of the donut truck. Sorry, I got thrown off by the very loud tram outside. It was the fact that I failed the world's easiest platforming challenge. That was stupid. 5-6. Beat this on my 4th try, and like with the family sedan, I wasn't having a struggle with the armoured truck or the second escape section. It was the first escape section I was struggling with so much. Once I figured that out, it was just patience, go through the car wash, easy mission. 5-7 though, took me 11 tries. 11 tries. The Curator's a very speedy car, and this may end up being the toughest destruction mission for a lot of these slower vehicles in this challenge series. Luckily, the Curator likes to get stuck near the train yard, and he does massive damage to himself. And generally, if you're very lucky, you can just kind of kill him from there. But, good God, I was just not fast enough to really keep up with him most of the time. Very tricky mission, very tough mission. Level 6. 6-1. 6-1's an easy mission. I doubt this mission will really ever be much of an issue for any vehicle. The vanilla game makes use a slow car here as well, so Donut Truck is completely fine. 6-2. Should you actually try and follow the Itchy and Scratchy Truck normally, you probably won't make it, because this thing just books it up the hill and you just lose it completely. Incredible mission. I had to use a little bit of a car reset trick to give me the lead I needed. And even then, with the race, I only won by the skin of my teeth, because again, Donut Truck can't really make the ramp jump, and the ramp jump is how you get to the end of the race. And if you go the long way around, you've probably lost. Beat on my 7th try. I think I said that. Who cares? 7th try, again. 6-3, I had to play pretty smart here. Much like with 6-2, I couldn't just follow behind the vehicle I was following. I had to try and stay ahead of them at all times. And, you know, I knew the pattern of Frink, more or less, and just went along with that. Still, it took me 3 tries. Yeah, again, it's a little bit like what happened, my worry with 5-4, where it was a case of, if Frink in this case is behind you and makes you spin out, you've just lost. There's no rubber banding anymore, it seems. You'll just lose straight up. Horrendous. 6-4 though. Beat this on my 12th try. Now I don't believe that. I'm going to tell you why I don't believe that. Because I found this to be the hardest mission to complete. I was on this mission for, I think what must have been about 40 minutes. Just this one mission alone. I don't believe it was 12 tries. I counted 12 tries. But I was rather tired at the time of writing this script. I truly believe it was probably more like 20-30, because it felt like about 20-30. And it all really mostly came down to the initial drive up. That initial drive was what was screwing me up so much. I was really struggling. It's a very tight time limit. Even in the regular game, it's a pretty rough time limit. But with the donut truck, good golly, is it rough. Even the bump and collect section with the duff truck, it's really fast of a vehicle. It's really fast. And if I had the weight behind the donut truck, if it was a heavier vehicle, I could have just stayed in the way of the duff truck and just had it ram into me 6 times, collected the crates, and then beat the mission. But I couldn't do that because the vehicle's it's too lightweight. Donut truck's just too lightweight to do that trick. Eventually I won. But yeah, I was actually considering just saying, no, I concede with this mission. And I forfeit. But I persevered and I won, and that's pretty good. Especially when you consider the first time I ever did like a challenge run of this game was with the family sedan. I've never really challenged myself with this game. So yeah, I'm still growing as a player. I'm still trying to improve. 6-5. I knew this would be a pretty tough destruction mission, but compared to the Curator, this was absolutely nothing. I beat on my 3rd try. Totally fine. 6-6, the infamous set to kill. I wasn't driving particularly well in this mission. I beat on my 4th try with only like a second to spare. It was pretty tight. This was definitely more of the set to kill that people know and love in a questionable manner. But moving on from set to kill being an issue, is 6-7. I didn't even attempt to try this race legitimately. I just went the other way and won on my 1st try because I knew for a fact I was not messing around with this mission because it's very, very tough. Level 7. 7-1, despite the short time limits, beats on my 1st try. Pretty easy mission. With these challenges, you might be thinking, oh man, Autopsy Part 3 is going to be so hard. No. Level 7 missions just rarely are going to be very difficult. One of the most difficult level 7 missions probably in these challenges probably would be 7-1 because of its tight time limits. Everything else is completely totally doable. 7-2 took me 2 tries to complete, and that's only because I got the very angry hearse army after me, and they're very scary, very dangerous. 7-3 was a very easy 1st try. 7-4 should have been the 1st try, but I was a big idiot, and I had to beat on my 2nd try. How? I failed? I don't remember. I think I blew up my car or something, or I ran out of time at the end. It was something stupid. Regardless, it was stupid. It was just me playing terribly. A lot of this challenge run was just me playing terribly. 7-5, I was a fool, silly boy. The police were after me, I lost my barrel, and I beat on my 2nd try. 7-6, the police came for me, I lost my barrel, pretty cringe, but this time I had more than enough time to drive back to the power plant, get the barrel again, and then beat it on my 1st try. Even with a big hiccup like that, still a 1st try. 7-7, beat on my 2nd try. Lost the race the 1st time, but after that I just barely managed to win the race and get done with all the missions. So Donut Truck has beaten all the missions of the game, and good golly was it an ordeal. It was pretty tough with this vehicle. But time to do the catch up. We'll go over the bonus missions and the races, and I'm going to give you a spoiler warning. A lot of forfeits took place. A lot of races were forfeit here. 1B was a 1st try. Not really that bad of a mission at all, to be honest. I didn't really have much time left, but it was still plenty enough time to finish the mission. Trial 1 is a totally fine race. Not much of a problem. But level 1 missions should never be referred to as not much of a problem. They should only ever be referred to as easy. Circuit 1 was a lot closer of a race than I would have liked. Still, it was fine, not a problem. Checkpoint 1 was also not really a problem. A nice, easy 1st try. 2B, as I thought, with 2B, not a hard mission. Totally fine. Circuit 2, the first of many, many, many forfeits. I'm just realizing, why have I done it in like this really weird order of going like, could have just been trial, circuit, checkpoint. That's so dumb. Sorry about that, guys. That's really stupid. Circuit 2, though, was cringe. Really cringe, really cringe. Which one's Circuit 2? That's the one with a stupid loop in it. Yep, stupid loop with the big bloody juggernaut. No. No. With the sedan, I could kind of fit through these little kind of gaps here, and it was okay. But with the donut truck, I just couldn't. And even if I did, it was very likely that I'd just spin out and then just get hit from the side by one of the other racers, and it was horrendous. Trying to get past the two other racers was bad enough. Trying to get anywhere near Lisa it just felt borderline impossible. Horrendous. Checkpoint 2. I only won this race with the sedan because of just pure dumb luck and me just being a big gorilla and trapping Lisa with my big massive pink girthy car. Horrendous. No. I didn't have the speed to keep up with Lisa. I didn't really have the luck. And as my rule is with these kind of races, with the missions, I will grind the missions till I complete them. Beating the missions is the #1 priority in this challenge series. Then comes the bonus missions, and then the races at the bottom. If I forfeit on races, I don't feel too bad. I feel a bit bad, and I will return to them like a revisit someday. But I don't feel too bad about forfeiting races. But if I like give it a few attempts and kind of just determine that, oh no, this race is nothing but luck, then I'm not going to grind out luck. I'll grind something out if it's skill based, like the missions generally are. But if it's a thing of luck, I won't grind luck. That's not fun. If I happen to get a lucky win, I'll take it. But if I'm just chasing luck, then I'm not going to do it. That's stupid. That's a lot harsher than I would have liked to sound. I do apologize about that. But that's just kind of my stance on this thing. That's my stance. Trial 2, though, was tricky, but it was a simple first try. At least there was one race in level 2 I could actually complete. 3B is a pretty tight collectathon. Probably one of the toughest of the bonus missions. Perhaps, but it was a first try. Circuit 3 is a luck-based race. Great. It is anyway. It's just totally luck-based. It's a very chaotic race. I managed to win just because Marge was an idiot and span out at the end. Fantastic. Trial 3 was a tough race. Won it with 2 seconds to spare. Yeah, pretty tricky. I was having some issues with the physics of the ramp jump with the Family Sedan, I believe. And with the donut truck, which has been giving me physics issues the entire time, you can imagine that it was a lot worse with this car. Checkpoint 3 is just no way, no way. With the sedan, it's nothing but just luck and perhaps potentially brute force. Horrendous, horrendous thing. No way I could beat this thing. I could barely even get near Marge. I could barely even catch up to her. 4B though is an easy collectathon, not a problem at all. I don't think this mission will ever be an issue. Checkpoint 4. I now remember why I don't remember this race last time. It was because I only won because of luck. Again, it's a big luck race. Frank is super fast, super aggressive if he rams into you, as are all the racers in this game. I just didn't have the speed to keep up with him. That was the problem. Trial 4. I actually thought I beat Trial 4 for some reason with Donut Truck. I didn't. I don't know why. Now, the reason I feel bad with like these forfeits here is because it's a case of, I think with a lot of these races I forfeited them because I was just really losing, I was losing drive and motivation. I was failing so many of them that I just kind of stopped really trying with a lot of them. So when it comes to me doing a revisit one day, I will definitely be probably coming back to the donut truck because I want to try and bump it up just a little bit. but you know, maybe not. Depends on if I end up getting worse cars, which I definitely will. There's plenty worse cars in the game aside from the donut truck, but you know, maybe one day we'll return and we'll try and make the donut truck a little bit less useless of a vehicle. Maybe. Circuit 4, I just didn't have the speed or the look. I don't really know why. I beat it with a family sedan, and I think this is just what it was. The entire time with the donut truck, I was just playing really terribly. I just was not trying at all. It's kind of crap, to be honest. It's really crap, because I feel like I should just come back to this at some point and just try and beat the races, and it really annoys me looking back at it, being like, why didn't I try? I didn't really want to come back to it. I don't really necessarily want to go back to this, because I know that there's worse cars coming up, and it's a case of, well, do I want to try and grind out races with this car, or would I rather focus my attention on the actual real garbage vehicles of this game and give them more of a shot? And I'd rather do the latter, but I still do feel bad looking at all these races and just seeing how many of them I just gave up on because I just wasn't trying. It's really annoying. Circuit 5. Why have we gone to Circuit 5 and not 5B? That's so dumb. Why did I write it so terribly? I know why, because it's just the other I was doing it whilst recording it. But still dumb. Dumb. Circuit 5, so much speed needed, so much luck needed. I couldn't do this one either. 5B though, I beat this on my second try. Got pretty lucky. Similar to in 5-7, like the Curator, the hover car. Sometimes I just get stuck near the train yard. Can destroy it there. Yeah, not too bad. Checkpoint 5. This is one of the big 3 races I deem. Like one of the 3 like really hard races for this challenge. Along with obviously Checkpoint 3 and Circuit 6. No, the highway. There's so much highway. Yes, I can get ahead of Bart. Can I say ahead of him for long? No. I got to the point with Donut Truck where on the highway Bart's marker just disappeared completely because he was so far ahead of me. The big massive marker that appears over the head of the top of the car, yeah, just gone around the corner because he was that quick on the highway. Absolutely horrendous. And this makes me think, is every race completable as every vehicle? Maybe they are, maybe they're not. And this is what annoys me. I wish I was a better player so I could truly, definitively answer that question of are there genuinely impossible missions with certain vehicles? Or is it just a case of it's all skill based and maybe luck? That's what I want to know. And maybe it is. Maybe there are impossible vehicles. Maybe every vehicle is possible with everything. Now with the missions, I think maybe that's more likely, but with the races, I'm not really sure, because to me it seems the races were designed to be done they were intentionally designed to be done only in fast cars. And that's what makes me think, especially with something like this, it's like I would only beat Circuit 5 if Bart just gave up and disappeared from the game. Like, how am I supposed to catch up to him on the highway? I don't know. Not Circuit 5, sorry, Check 5. I'm an idiot. Checkpoint 5. Oh my god. Trial 5 just was horrendous as well. Horrendous. With the family down, it probably was just barely doable. Very tight. I just couldn't do it. I wasn't good enough. With Donut Truck though, I was reaching lap 5 with about 10 seconds to spare. That's not enough time for a full lap. Not enough time. Going over the potholes with a car with this janky physics, janky physics, not happening. Into level 6, trial 6. No, I couldn't do it. I don't know why I couldn't even do it with the family sedan, because I feel like it should be possible. I'm just an idiot. Oh well. 6B, I beat it on my second try. I forgot actually what to do in this mission, so from now on, I should be a lot better at this mission. It wasn't actually too bad, to be honest. Circuit 6? No. Not a chance of me doing Circuit 6. Checkpoint 6? Yeah. the ramp jump. The ramp jump is a thing in Trial 6 and Checkpoint 6. It's a thing in both races. And it's horrendous. Days that I could beat this race as Homer, or as a Family's Down, like my second try. Yeah, it was luck based, but it's baffling just how much worse of a car this is. It's ridiculous. Level 7, 7B. I nailed the jump on my first try. Making that jump is the entire mission. You make the jump, you've won. Checkpoint 7. Well, you know, I couldn't beat it with the Family's Down, so I probably can't beat it with this either. Just terrible. Trial 7. I couldn't even beat this one. I couldn't get through the jump. I couldn't get onto the jump, onto the fire engine, the ladder jump. I couldn't even do that. I don't even know. It's just absolutely horrendous. And then Circuit 7 is the last failure. I think I definitely totally completely gave up on this run, especially with the races. I grinded so much for the missions, especially with 6-4, that I think all my motivation just left me. Because again, I knew there were worse vehicles coming up, but also I just was playing really badly the whole time. I think I was playing badly because I just didn't realize how bad of a car this was going in, and then knowing that there are worse vehicles later, so it's a case of, well, do I grind this one out so I can become really good at this bad vehicle before moving into like worse vehicles, or do I focus my attention on the worst vehicles? It's a shambles. I do apologize. This is an absolute shambles of an episode. Terrible thing. I apologize profusely from the bottom of my heart. But let's look at the results. All the missions completed, which is a mission medallion awarded. 7 of 7 bonus missions, which is a bonus rosette. And a very measly 6 of 21 races, which earns nothing but my utmost pity. Now, if I am considering giving the Family's Down like a C rank, you know, where's Donut Truck go? Because it beat all the missions, but how well did it beat them? Not particularly well. I'd say low D, high E, but to be honest, I might even just whack it in E tier. Give it an E rank. It's a bad car. And I think the thing that really kills it is the handling and the physics of it. It flips over so much. It feels like it's just top heavy as a vehicle. And it may be intentionally designed to be top heavy, so it flips over a lot. I was having that issue countless times whilst attempting 6-4. I just kept turning and then just flipping over onto my side every time. It was really, really obnoxious. The Family Sedan though was totally fine because it handled so well, and it wasn't the slowest car in the world. It was slow, but it handled really well and it was completely fine. This though just was a problem. It just was a really, really big problem to deal with. I wouldn't recommend using this car. Again, it's not the worst, but it's worse than most. And that's still not good. I've been your host, Manda Sons. And I hope you'll join me next time, where hopefully we use a car that's not as bad, and hopefully we use a car where actually can do more than 6 races in it. Ta-ta for now. Oh my god.